you have no idea. They're probably not listening to you and you're not respecting their time. So if you just stop being thirsty for the outcome today, you gather the information and reference it in the callback, you will get a higher completion rate in the follow through, and people will respect that. Not all of them.
That's the reminder for everyone out there. Relevance and timing beat any other strategy than trying to push someone through something they're not ready for or it's not relevant for them. Welcome back to another episode of Outbound Fluff, No Sales. I am your co-host, Ronen Pessar. With me is Ryan Reiser. We're the Outbound Operators. I'm excited about this one. We're going to talk to you about situational awareness, and we're even going to share some examples of what it is and how to handle those situations. If you enjoyed this episode, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and drop a comment below. If there's anything you want us to cover specifically, we'd love to hear from you. Ryan, you ready to dive right into this one?
Let's go.
We were going through some of the comments on YouTube. By the way, Ryan, thanks for the hat.
Looking good, dude.
We're so sponsored now. Sponsored by Callblitz. If you haven't checked Callblitz out, by the way, check it out in the show notes down below. Let's get into this one. It's not really fluff as much as it is cringe. Situational awareness.
I would take a step back and think about, maybe you're thinking about another direction with this, but we've been going through some conversations about objections, and it's like, hey, like it's hard to role play an objection, which is, again, it's just information because context matters of where things came from. But this just came up in coaching this morning.
Love it when you have coaching right before we do this, because then you're like, oh, this actually just happened today. And by the way, we do coaching every day.
Well, it is happening every day, but the topics are coming straight from the front lines, which is great because it's like, this is stuff people are dealing with. And I used a prime example of this where everybody that's a part of our solo community within Callblitz, we do Ask Me Anything, and then we have live calling. The new reps are always focused on how do they start to implement the completion framework, which, again, we've done a whole series on the framework, and they start to get dialed in and they like it. They like it a lot. But when we talk about situational awareness, we have to understand that, like, the reason why you use the script is so that you can stay consistent with your message, and you want to try to control the conversation, and you think about them as gates, right? I'm here in the conversation and I'm trying to move through stages of the conversation to ensure that we're meeting all the criteria. Again, we covered this before, but establishing dialogue, getting to a point where they hear us, getting to the magic words, etc. But there are situations that pop up where you have to situational awareness. So a simple example of that is the opener that we teach and want to work on is, and I went on that after this in coaching today, is like, if one of the reps said, what would you do right now just to get better? Like, what's the one thing I should focus on? I was like, the one thing you focus on is get that messaging built out. We did a workshop on his message, get it to a point where you feel comfortable with it, but then run that, for the next week. Just don't change it, run it exactly how it is, and get very, very confident with it, because that's going to be the biggest lever for you to pull right now. Is if you listen to all of my conversations, I pretty much open up every single call the exact same way. Now then, we went into cold calling, and then a situation popped up where he got a bit of a fighter, and the guy, when he answered the phone, is like, what is this about? What do you do? Right. And so he went into, this was even before he got into hello. He's like, is this Michael? The guy's like, oh, what is this? He's like, I'm looking for Michael because he got blocked off a little bit. But then he's like, what do you do? And he's like, well, again, my name is Ryan. We've never spoken before. I was hoping you could help me out for a moment. And the guy just hangs up on him. So situational awareness. While we have a framework and we want to go through the gates, if someone's like,
situational awareness, Ryan, this dude is not in the mood. Like you said, maybe his personality type is the fighter, and he's going to be like that every call. And you'll find out when you call him back the next week if he does it again, or the week after if he does it again. But maybe it's the moment, the situation. Another word for situational awareness is empathy taking or perspective taking. I'm trying to put myself in the prospect's shoes in that moment to be aware of how they're interpreting the interaction, so that as the caller, I can flow better, more like jujitsu or any martial arts like judo, where it's using your opponent's force in the direction they're heading, as opposed to boxing, where it's just punch, counter punch, punch, counter punch. And there's a lot of content out there, like Jordan Belfort's crap, the other crap from all these other like gurus, 10X guy, Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
It's all about bulldozing the prospect. It's all about like just outforce them, outmaneuver them. But this topic, situational awareness or perspective taking, is the opposite approach that is less slimy and works a lot better, because all you're doing is focusing on developing a skill of, how do I understand what's going on in their world so I can actually continue this conversation in the right direction? based on what I'm understanding.
The idea here becomes like, okay, I get so focused on, all right, now I have a message, I want to use the words, but you have to be able to navigate, right? So in this case, if someone's like, you already got beyond, what do you do kind of thing, it's not, it maybe it sounds like I caught you at a really terrible time. I can try it back later. You could adjust this way. Or you just skip that part. Yeah, again,
Right.
my name is Ryan. I'm calling from company. Have you heard us? And then now you're back to the next gate. Okay. And then I use another example where, again, earlier in coaching, I said I use the exact same opener all the time, every single call for the most part. But here's an example of where I get a little bit backed up because I'm so in the zone sometimes. If someone answers the phone, hey, this is Ryan, how can I help you? All of a sudden, I shouldn't use the same opener. We've never
Right.
spoken before, so you can help me out for a moment. It's awkward, right? Now, most reps will be in the zone and they'll just say the same shit. And it's like, you got to be able to pivot a little bit. So that one gets me because I'm so in the zone where hello or this is Ryan, whatever. You can make that initial adjustment on listening for name or hey name. Then I move to the next place. This is Ryan. We've never spoken before. So hoping you can help me out for a moment. But if someone answers, hey, this is Ryan, how can I help you? Or how can I help you? All of a sudden, I can't use that. I have to be able to adjust a little bit.
Right. Because to say, I was hoping you could help me out. They're like, yes. How
Yes,
can I help you?
exactly. You're not listening. Situational awareness. You have to listen. You can't just get focused on the framework. And so, I use that as a prime example. This guy here should have skipped it in the situation where if someone does answer, how can I help you? And then Reese is like, hey, I actually just got that one. I was like, maybe weird, right? I was like, yeah. So what do? You listen. You go, oh, thanks, Sally. I appreciate that. You and I haven't spoken before, but I appreciate your willingness to help. My name is Ryan. I'm calling from, right? So you could still
Nice.
pivot a little bit from that, but you have to have situational awareness.
Yeah, and I have like a few other examples that I think lots of cold callers will experience. So there's another type of situational awareness where it's listening to the background noise.
Correct.
This one is super common. So the most common one, you're probably all thinking of it if you're watching this, is car noise. So they're in the car and you're on speaker. I like to go in with something that shows that I'm aware of them being in the car. Right after I go in with the opener, oh, hey, Ryan. Yeah, Ryan, this is Ronan Pest. Sorry you weren't expecting my calls. First time I've reached you. Mind if you able to help me out for a brief moment? Yeah, what's going on, Ronan? Hey, you know what? Again, my name's Ronan, calling from Call Blitz. Sounds like you're actually in the car right now. Is it a good time, or do you want me to try you back? I like to go in with like, let me just call it out, because what that will do is either they'll say, you know what, actually, it's a horrible time. I've got 3 kids in the back. I thought you were someone else. Great, I'll try you tomorrow. Or does it make sense for me to try you back maybe tomorrow? Alternatively, they might say, no, I got time. I'm in the car. I'm driving. What's up? I've had great conversations and horrible conversations with prospects who are driving. Just ask, call it out.
Yeah.
There's a
I would take that one up further though, it's great that you call it out. But we also want to make sure we're not known until we're known in these situations.
right.
A better variation when you hear driving, which is a common one when you're calling mobile phones, is uh, this is Ryan. You weren't expecting my call first time I've reached you. I was hoping you might be able to help me out for a brief moment, but sounds like I'm gonna cut you driving. Then they're
Nice.
gonna answer that, right? So
That's good.
I don't have to say my company name and all that stuff yet. Which again, if someone is frustrated by that, you don't want to be known until you're known. They're not gonna remember that call. This is important stuff because people get so bogged down into feeling like when is the best time to follow up with somebody. If you are an interruption in an inconvenient time, which you don't know the situation that they're in on the other side of the phone, you don't want to put yourself in a position where they feel like you were an annoyance, right? Which again, if I passionately, genuinely believe I can serve someone, I shouldn't feel this way, but I also want to respect them. And a lot of reps get caught up with like how quickly can they follow up with somebody if they just spoke with them within a time frame. And so if you're not known, then it really doesn't matter if you call them back tomorrow.
Totally.
If you drop things with like call blitz in there, all of a sudden you feel like, oh well, they heard my company name. Again, this is just a mindset thing that we're talking about. So if you eliminate unnecessary nuggets trails to try to get somebody at a more convenient time to engage in the two-way dialogue, you're setting yourself up for future success. And you also can get out of your own head around, are they going to remember you? Now, they probably won't remember call blitz either, but there is that subset of people like, yeah, you just called me the other day. No, thank you. Click instead
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
this is a completely new call and you can open the same way.
Totally. And that's a good call. Also, don't be known until you want to be known. Meaning, don't be known until you can have a conversation.
That's right.
The other situation that comes up, this one is very subtle. I call it the 180. It sounds like this. You call the prospect, they answer the phone like, hello. Hey, Jane. Yeah, hi. Hey, Jane, this is Ronan Pesar. You weren't expecting my call. It's actually the first time I've reached you. Mind helping me out for a brief moment? Yeah, sure. What's going on? Yeah, appreciate that. This is Ronan. I'm with Call Blitz. Name sound familiar at all? No. It's when their tone goes from like being warm and friendly to all of a sudden being curt and very serious. So it's listening to the change in their tone
Mm-hmm.
from opener usually to the first time they hear something that sounds like it's a sales pitch.
Yeah, that's usually followed with, "Is this a sales call?"
So it's the nonverbal signal of
Yep.
just triggered the salesperson heuristic. Is this a sales call mindset?
Yep.
Now, when you hear this, it's good to be aware of it because it means you want to get to the relevance, continue, as you say, continue on to the next gate, but be ready for a brush off that might be a smokescreen.
That's right. Yep.
So when I hear that, the next thing I hear from them that is might be perceived as an objection, it's oftentimes something I could just interpret as, no, it's a smokescreen. And so if I challenge them on that, like a very common one would be continue on with the pitch. Yeah, I don't know if this is for you or not, Jane, but at Call Blitz, what we're doing is we're bringing dispersed sales development and sales teams together who are doing cold calls so that they can do it as if they're in person, but virtually. This makes it easier for things like coaching, real time feedback, and also just boosting team morale so that the team's together while they're dialing, learning from each other and improving. Have you ever looked at a virtual sales floor like this before? If I go in with something like that and they go, yeah, I'm not the right person. Now I know that is likely the smokescreen, and I can go in and challenge it. Oh, I actually have you as the senior director of sales development. Are you not responsible for outcomes that are driven from cold calling? Are you not overseeing the SDR team, or are you not involved with evaluating tools like this? As opposed to maybe accepting that as like, oh, I have the wrong person. So that one to watch out for is I call it the 180, but it's really prospect switches their tone from like warm and friendly to all of a sudden very serious and getting like to the point, being very short with you.
Yeah, and then these are all things that come up in the middle of calls where you get locked into the words, phrases, and sentences that you want to be saying. And if you're not listening, and it's not just listening to what's being said to you, but to your point, the tone, the pace, the background noise, things that should help you become more aware of their current state, their current situation to understand if you're actually being heard and how to proceed accordingly. And ultimately how to bucket those leads properly for future follow-up. All of this is information. And that's the number one outcome that we're looking for when we're calling. So we're trying to gather information. And sometimes all the information we get is we got a person who picks up the phone and they were busy in this situation. And you should actually take, not detailed freaking notes that are going to take you forever to get away from the next dial. Little short notes that can help you make sure that the next time you come around, you may want to use that, right? So an example of the person that was driving and they were like, actually, this is the worst possible time. I got 3 kids in the background, etc. Your note could just say, was driving, had kids in the background, three kids in the background. So when you follow up, you could say, hey, this is Ryan. We spoke the other day. You were driving. You had a couple kids in the background. It was the worst possible time. Did you have like a half a minute? I could explain why I was calling you. Let me know if this is relevant. And having the information that's coming back to them that connects the dots and I was respectful during that time can help you proceed to get you towards the completion versus just calling back aimlessly after the fact and not knowing what the situation was ahead of time.
That's a
You'll find
great tip. So by logging, documenting what was the end or the outcome of the last call, when I call them back and I see that note as I'm calling, I can reference it. Hey, it's Ronan from Call Blitz calling you back here. It sounds like last time we spoke, you were busy with kids in the car. You got a few minutes to chat now. If done well on the first call, they won't necessarily remember any of it, but they may remember how they felt. And if they felt like there was respect, you're starting on the right foot again. That's a really good call there.
it's not 100% of the time, but gauge that versus the other person that makes that call. They say that to you and go, well, can I just explain what we do quickly and see if it's even worth a callback? When you call that person back, well, first of all, are you even going to get the acceptance to the callback? That's number one. And will you? Some people will still make the callback even if they don't want it. But if you just respect their time and then exit the conversation and then reference it on the follow-up versus last time we spoke, you were super busy and I told you what we do and you weren't interested, but I had a question for you or whatever you're going to say. I don't know what it is when people do that, but pitch slapping, you get this with people running into meetings. Now, people running into meetings, common objection, smoke screen, whatever you want to call it. I'm running into a meeting. Sounds like I caught you at the worst possible time. I'll try you back later. Click versus
Yep.
I'm running into a meeting. can I call you back later? When are you back out of
Hey,
it? Can I
do you have your
explain
calendar
exactly?
open?
Can I explain exactly why I was calling? And you can just let me know if it's even worth a call back. Like, there's no value to that necessarily. And
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of people maybe in the comments now is like, oh, I do that because then I just want to make sure it's not worth a call back. You have no idea. They're probably not listening to you and you're not respecting their time. So if you just stop being thirsty for the outcome today, you gather the information and reference it in the callback, you will get a higher completion rate in the follow through. And people will respect that. Not all of them. Some people are going to give you the same response. And that's, again, information. This is a person who is just not wanting to give me a chance to talk to them. And then you, again, situational awareness. Is this a target that I know for sure is the right person at the right account that's like a dream prospect and I know I can serve them? That's when I would recommend being a little bit more, you can call it the Grant Cardone or the bulldozer, or whatever you want to call it, right? That's when you might want to try a more direct approach just to get what you do out in front of them, because relevance and timing is going to trump anyone's personality and perspective on how you reach them.
Wow. That's a gem right there. And that's the reminder for everyone out there. Relevance and timing is gonna win, beat any other strategy than trying to push someone through something they're not ready for or it's not relevant for them.
Correct. And that's why only recommend being more direct and what most people might call aggressive or pushy or whatever you want to call it in a time when you've already been resisted a few times before and you know for sure. This is a real problem for a lot of people who make calls because they're still calling and they're like, I'm not quite sure. They don't even know enough about a company. They don't know about the person. I know certain people that might watch this are like, yeah, well, who does that? Pretty much everybody, right? Pretty much everybody is calling on a list that's not perfectly researched, that's not perfectly, you're not quite there yet. So you're still trying to gather information. And so pushing too hard without the information that you know for sure it's them is fallacy. And so let's take a step back again and understand why what we're discussing is a good idea and why situational awareness is helpful. Because if I call someone and they're busy, running into a meeting, driving, whatever, what do we get? We know that that number reaches a person who picks up the phone. That person will pick up again if you call them back. So I can now be respectful, not push when they're like, well, I make sure it's going to be relevant, make sure it's even worth a callback. Who gives a shit? That doesn't serve them. It only serves you. But serve yourself. Know that the information is they pick up. Now take a moment, and you probably haven't done this to a good enough degree anyway beforehand, a lot of you that make calls. So then now click into their profile if it's available, if you're in a B2B world where they're on LinkedIn, take a look at it and be like, wow, this is actually the exact person I want to talk to. They are perfect for what we do. I know them really well. Maybe take a couple notes about it, a couple keywords. In addition to them being busy, you can say, and I know that you're in their profile, like words that they use. Like if we're going back to the call blitz thing, like manage a remote sales team of 15. Now I could follow up and say,
relevance check.
Last time we spoke, sounded like it's the worst possible time. You were running into a meeting. But the reason I was reaching out specifically is I'm on your LinkedIn and I noticed that you managed the remote sales team about 15 reps, right? Did you have a half a minute? I can explain why I was reaching out. You can let me know if this would be relevant for your team. Well, now I'm showing you that, one, I respected you in the past. Two, you've actually taken a lot more time than most people to look at me. But I didn't do that ahead of time, by the way. I did that after the fact where I already had the information that this is someone who picks up the phone. And now in that follow-up, I can get deeper into the conversation. And I don't have to waste my time in this another situation where if I'm calling, someone is pretty busy and they're running into a meeting every single time. If I don't check their profile to make sure that they're the exact person and I become pushy, I run into a problem. So I call you, Ronan, run into a meeting. This is not a good time. Bye. Run into a meeting. It's not a good time. Bye.
Yeah.
If I don't check to say, like, is this the person I really want to be talking to? And I go and I try to go, well, let me explain exactly why I'm calling and like let's get you, let me explain it to you. It's kind of a lost shot, right? I can take my shot on someone like, I know that it sounds like you're busy all the time. I've caught you a few times running into a meeting, but I'm reaching out to you specifically because of now get into what you should be prepared for based on the product or service you offer and why you think specifically they're a great fit for it. And again, it's a hypothesis, but if you passionately, genuinely believe that they are somebody that you can serve, then you can move into that more, what we call aggressive or pushy or whatever, to just try to get it out there. And again, if it's relevant and timely, they're probably going to bite.
Yes.
If it's not going to matter. You're not going to get through them. You're looking for receptivity.
This is a always evolving topic. If you guys want us to go deeper into any specific kinds of situations that may occur that you're baffled by, drop it in the comments below. As always, I'm Ronan Pessar. With me is Ryan Reisert. We're the Outbound Operators. This show is brought to you by Callblitz. And hit that subscribe button so you can catch the next episode. Until then, happy hunting.
Peace.